Welcome back to Operation Freedom, folks. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker linked to our main Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, here every Sunday for you live from 2 to 5 Eastern, 24/7 at davejanda.com. Come on by, stop on by. Great videos, extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, archives to all of our shows. We are there for you 24/7. And our hope is then you'll then take that information and network it to anyone and everyone you know, because the more people we have educated, the more people we have empowered, and the more people we have empowered, the sooner we end this reign of terror, willful terror, by the syndicate. My next guest is someone who has done everything in his power to help protect and enhance your economic and financial freedom. Gets a lot of heat for doing it. Why? Because one of the ways in which the syndicate has targeted you and has decided that they can take you down easier is if they make you more financially dependent on the syndicate. The way they do that is by taking the underpinnings of whatever's left of the foundation of our financial systems worldwide. Their goal is to take them down and therefore put you in harm's way and make you more dependent upon them. My next guest, Bill Holter, has sounded the alarm for years of what they are up to, what they are doing, and how you can, if you will, insulate yourself, protect yourself from what their goals and objectives are. Little background on Bill Holter. After a lengthy career in financial services, Bill retired in 2006 and moved his family out of the United States. He then returned in 2011 and currently makes his home in the great state of Texas. Bill joined Miles Franklin, Miles, M-I-L-E-S, Franklin.com, as an associate writer in 2012 and posted commentaries there through 2015. Bill is now a precious metals broker with Miles Franklin, milesfranklin.com. And he is also working collaboration with the great Jim Sinclair in helping to educate and enlighten folks through the website JSMindset, MINESET.com. Bottom line, folks, Bill Holter is one of the best forensic economic analysts in the world, which is why the deep state syndicate despises him. And any person that's focused on financial freedom for the masses of people in the world loves him. It's my honor to welcome back our friend, Bill Holter. Bill, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show and platform.
Thank you, Dave. And one correction, we are now .org rather than .com, as we were hacked and had to abandon that site. JSMindset.org.
Got it. Oh, see, there you go. A little targeting action, huh? Got hacked. You got to love that, huh?
Yeah.
Bill, what brought that attack on? What exactly did you and Jim drop on the public that made that hack come into being?
Who knows?
Right. A track record of it. So Bill, several years ago, you came forward and said, listen, folks, we are headed for a stagflationary environment economically, financially, that's going to make the 1970s look like a cakewalk. And Bill, you were roundly criticized for your analysis at the time. And here we are in 2022, Bill, and we are in a stagflationary economic environment that makes the 70s look like a picnic. How many of those people called you up, Bill, and said, Bill, I'm sorry, you were right. We were wrong. We never should have defamed you, slandered you, or libeled you?
I have too many fingers to count. And just to clarify, when you say stagflation, we said all along that the end would end in a inflationary spiral of the things you need and a deflationary spiral of the things you have. And that's exactly what's happening now.
And now we have the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, a former chairperson of the Federal Reserve, which is not a part of the United States government, the executive, legislative, judicial branches, but an independent group of bankers that are only looking out for themselves. I say that because she made the following statement speaking about our economy the other day, Bill, and I'd like your take because you being based in the great state of Texas and it being a oil and gas center, I think you might be interested in this on a number of different planes. Derek, hit it and we'll get Bill's take.
Our plan, powered by the Inflation Reduction Act, represents the largest investment in fighting climate change in our country's history. And it will put us well on our way toward a future where we depend on the wind, the sun, and other clean sources of energy. We will rid ourselves from our current dependence on fossil fuels.
Well, there you go, Bill.
Well, it seems to me a year and a half ago, we had a massive freeze in Texas and the grid pretty much failed.
Yep.
And you had windmills that actually they used more energy trying to de-ice than they produced. I mean, it's completely foolish. And I would say it's part of the plan. It's part of the plan to take down the entire system. And think back to, 1973, when Kissinger convinced the Arabs to buy treasuries with the capital that they were receiving for oil. That's what created the petrodollar.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, if they're trying to, if you want to call it, destroy the fossil fuel industry, what does that do? That basically destroys anything and everything that was behind or propping up the dollar. It breaks the system.
It does break the system. And Bill, am I overstating this to say that we are hanging by a thread at this point from a dollar being the reserve currency status to the actually economies not melting down? We are hanging by a thread. Is that an overstatement?
No, that's absolutely right. And I think, and I'm on record saying that I think there's better than a coin toss that we don't even have an election. The reasoning behind that is it does look like there will be a red wave, and those who are in power, I think, will do anything to stop an election. In other words, they don't want to lose power. So between now and the election, the precarious situation the financial markets are in, it would not surprise me to see the financial markets actually pushed over the edge. I don't think they really even need a push at this point. Liquidity is extremely tight. Interest rates have exploded. And if you look at interest rates exploding is important because what that does is it lowers the value of existing bonds. And existing bonds are the foundation for the entire financial system. And they've been gutted. I mean, look what happened in Britain this past week. I think it was on Monday, interest rates blew through 5%. A year ago, their 10-year bonds were at 0.5%. So they've risen tenfold. And now they're worried about pension plans, endowments, et cetera, in Britain. And it's the same thing throughout the entire G7. So, no, that's not an overstatement at all. They destroy the financial system, and that means that the real economy will not function.
And Bill, you've always said this is going to be a credit event that leads to the meltdown. You've always said that, and we're there now.
Yeah, we're there right now. There's no question about it. And I've also said that when you go into a grocery store or anything that you do in your daily life depends on credit. So if credit has melted down, if credit becomes unavailable, the real economy stops. So it's not just the financial system, it's your daily way of life.
Bill, there is a banking conglomerate by the name of Credit Suisse. And some people are concerned just as when Lehman Brothers melted down in 2007, many people are concerned that Credit Suisse is about to melt down and cause financial chaos. Is that concern justified?
Yeah, it's justified, but there's another probably 100 plus Credit Suisses out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that absolutely could be the spark. Like I said, there's another 100 sparks out there that could blow the system. And actually, one of them, surprisingly, there's a boycott, a mortgage payment boycott, if you will, in China. And in my opinion, now I've said this all along, China doesn't care if the financial system melts down because the money that they've borrowed, they built stuff with. So when the credit system collapses, they still have the airports, the rail lines, literally the cities that they've built with credit. Whereas the West, what did we do with the credit? We ate on it. We outlived our means for many, many years. We didn't build infrastructure. What we'll have left is default, whereas what China will have left are real infrastructure.
And this past week, Bill, the Bank of England threw in the monetary towel, well, raise, and now all of a sudden they reinstituted the printing presses, and many people saw, what's happened there, anticipate happening in the U.S. and the like. What's your take about what the Bank of England did, and do you foresee the Fed doing this in the very short term?
Yeah, the Fed will absolutely be forced to do it. They probably will do it. I don't believe it will save the system, but really, the Bank of England doing a 180-degree turn from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing is exactly what my partner Jim Sinclair has said since end of 2008, early 2009, when QE first started. He coined the phrase QE to infinity. Mm-hmm. They cannot stop QE, and we've said all along there's no way they can stop QE, and they certainly can't tighten. And here we are, just a few months into tightening, and that's already being borne out.
And you foresee this happening here in the United States as well, correct?
Absolutely. Now it's math, Dave. It's not. This is not Bill Holter's opinion or anybody's opinion. No. It's math. They cannot tighten. It's like any Ponzi scheme. You have to have new money constantly coming in. Once the new money even slows, then the Ponzi begins to crumble.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing happen worldwide.
Exactly.
Now, Bill, when people start seeing this on the ground, many people say, well, what do people do? Well, let's look this past week at what happened in the UK. As their system was melting down, as you said, their bond rates were going through the roof. The Royal Mint in the UK has sold out of all 1-ounce silver coins. Only a limited number of 2-ounce and 10-ounce coins are left. This from somebody on the ground there. I've never seen this before. I think people here in the UK are realizing the British pound is not the best store of value. In fact, Bill, what we're seeing, tell me if I'm wrong, because you're on the ground on this with precious metals, what we're seeing is there's a rush for physical gold and physical silver as these economies around the world are melting down. Is that accurate?
Right. They've wiped out supply, understanding that if they leave their capital in pounds, they're going to end up losing it. So they've wiped out supply. You are seeing that here, particularly this past week. Premiums on any and all silver products have gone higher by anywhere from 50 cents to $2 per ounce. And that's just a function of not enough supply and too much demand.
Now, is this the highest you've seen premiums, Bill, in your career?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, for instance, on a Silver Eagle, U.S. Eagle, you're looking at, I think the best you can find now is $14 or $15 over spot, and spot's only $19. So you're talking about what, a 75% premium? Never seen that, not even close to that before, ever.
So, Bill, that's a very important distinction that many people don't realize. They say, they go, okay, I understand that gold and silver are a store of value, but I'm going to wait because I'm watching the price here on CNBS, as I call it, or Fox Business News, and it says that, well, silver's at $19 an ounce, so it's really not doing anything. So I'm going to sit here and wait before I purchase it because, well, I think it might go lower. Well, okay, Bill, they're looking at paper prices that are criminally manipulated, that's tainting their thinking as opposed to what's really happening in the physical market. Educate our listeners on this, Bill, because I believe too many people are buying into that fraudulent paper price and they aren't realizing what's happening on the ground with physical gold and silver.
Right, that's exactly correct. People are looking at the paper price. They see the paper price has dropped on, for instance, silver from $25, $26, got down to what, $17, $75, $18, and here it is at $19. But all the while that was happening, premiums were going higher and higher and higher. So where 6 months ago you were paying $7, $8 over spot on an eagle, and silver itself has dropped, call it $6, $7. The premiums on eagles have gone up that $6, $7. So you're still paying the same amount to get the physical metal in hand. So watching the paper price is foolish because it's only a part of the equation.
And Bill, the criminally manipulated paper price, it's coming to an end, correct?
Oh, without a doubt, and it would not surprise me. You and I have talked about this before. The LBMA market and the COMEX market, they're being bled dry of their inventories, and that actually could lead to a point where you could see silver, or you could see gold on the COMEX at $10 an ounce offered, and nobody buy it, and a price, pick a number, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 an ounce in the cash markets, but there's no sellers. And that's basically a function of COMEX and LBMA. Those are contract markets. And what is the value of a contract that cannot perform? And the answer is zero. So, I mean, you could see paper metal zeroed out and physical metal unbuyable at the same time.
And then we have this from Zero Hedge today called Gold and Geopolitics. This is about Russia. Together with the recently announced Moscow gold standard and plans for a new trade settlement currency to replace the dollar, enhanced gold reserves will provide a support to a new gold standard for cross-border trade. It would replace payments to Russia for energy in weak Asian currencies and probably force China to declare its true gold reserves as well. If this is Putin's plan, the consequences for Western fiat currencies, like the dollar, are likely to be devastating, suffering the financial equivalent of a nuclear attack.
I think that is Putin/Xi's plan. I think that is the plan of the East. I mean, they can basically win the war without even firing a shot. And all they've got to do, all Russia and China have to do, is disclose publicly what they have amassed in gold reserves. And I mean, I can show you on the back of a paper napkin that China has at least 25,000 tons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's compared to what the U.S. has said for, 50 years, that we have 8,300 tons. Mm-hmm. The only problem is that 8,300 tons has not been audited since 1956. And just keep in mind the saying, he who has the gold makes the rules.
That's right. And the reason that's the case is because there are no third parties involved There are no third-party claims against physical gold or physical silver. There is no debt, DEBT, associated with physical gold or physical silver as they are with unbacked paper currencies. Correct, Bill?
Yeah, and just so your listeners can understand what you just said in plain English, gold and silver cannot bankrupt.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And gold and silver cannot bankrupt in a world that is bankrupting.
So, Bill, I believe this week is going to be consequential in the financial markets. Do you believe that's a hyperbole, or do you believe that's accurate?
No, I absolutely. With what happened last week, I think each week going forward is going to become more and more difficult until something breaks. And understand that we live in a system today where there's probably over $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives. Yes. That's more than all the assets added together on the planet. And what I'm getting at is derivatives are going to break, and derivatives have been what has kicked the can down the road all these years.
Bill, what is the availability of physical gold and physical silver at this point?
I can tell you gold eagles are, the availability is definitely less. I think it was July 1st, the U.S. Mint announced that they were cutting their production by 50% for the rest of the year. Now, you got to ask, why would they do that? The reason being they can't source the blanks. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you in silver across the board, the supply is very, very tight, and premiums are going higher.
Bill, what are going to be the red flags that you anticipate we're already seeing red flags, but what are the red flares people are going to see over the ensuing 2 weeks, 3 weeks as the system melts down?
I've always said watch credit, and if you go back 4 weeks ago, you had a 10-year Treasury that had rallied down to a 2.7% yield. Mm-hmm. This past week, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, we got through a 4% yield. That's a 50% rise in rates. Mm-hmm. What I'm getting at is, you never ever in the history of the United States have seen rates go up 50% in 1 month's time. The volatility in the credit markets has got to be killing traders on each side when they rally, when they fall, just because of the magnitude. So I would say, again, watch credit. Keep your eye on credit. A blowout to the upside in Treasury yields is death.
Bill, educate our listeners on how they can follow you and how they can get in touch with you.
You can go to www.jsmindset.org. It's no longer .com. Or if you want to reach me directly, you can reach me at bholter@hotmail.com.
bholter@gmail.com.
No, at hotmail.com.
Oh, hotmail.com. B_Holter@hotmail.com.
No underscore. It's just plain bholter@hotmail.com.
Got it. And jsmindset.org.
Right.
Bill, I'd like to thank you and your partner, Jim St. Clair, for everything you have done, are doing, and will do.